Team, welcome back to another episode of Ask Top, sponsored by MentorMilitary.com. For those of you who don't know me, I'm your host, Command Sergeant Major Retired Mark Garrett. Today we're going to talk about a serious subject that plagues a lot of young soldiers and some NCOs. That's Article 15s. But we're going to talk about them in a little bit different fashion today. What we're going to talk about is leader responsibilities when recommending an Article 15 to your soldiers. You see, as leaders, we sometimes, because of inexperience, immaturity, emotions, whatever it is, we recommend an Article 15 and we forget about it. Well, as a platoon sergeant, squad leader, first sergeant, we need to look into these things a little bit more before we do recommending and see how we can handle these other than an Article 15. And if we have to use an Article 15, what should we be doing with our soldiers? How should we represent or discuss things with our soldiers if our Article 15 is recommended? So right now we're going to talk about actions leaders should take before recommending an Article 15. So let's get after it. Hey, real quick, how about reach down and hit the subscribe button, share us, like us, leave us a comment about this video or something you'd like to see in the future. Sorry, I needed a quick commercial. So leader responsibilities before recommending an Article 15. What are they? Okay, our references are 2710, Army Leadership, Counseling Process, Army Team Building, the NCO Guide, and the Military Manual for Court-Martial Punitive Articles. So the first thing we need to understand is we should never talk to a soldier about an issue without reading them their rights or having them sign a rights warning or a rights waiver. Why? We don't want them to self-incriminate themselves. I mean, let's be fair. Let's be honest. Let's be upfront. There's no reason to talk to that soldier if you believe they've committed a crime or an offense that's going to result in punishment on a UCMJ or court-martial. You could screw up the case, and if it's serious, that could be bad. We're talking about minor infractions today. So before recommending Article 15, there's some questions you need to ask yourself. Can this be resolved via a warning? Hey, bonehead, do it again, and I'm looking at Article 15. Can we do it with formal counseling, corrective training, revocation of privileges, bar to reenlistment, or something administrative like, let's say, a disqualifying this period of service for the good conduct medal, so their good conduct medal time starts over again. Is it really necessary? Why are you recommending it? Hey, if you get a chance, look at the link below. For $19.95, we've got a book that covers everything on Article 15s, includes the entire script for the Article 15 process, extracts from the regulation, and it includes a lot of lessons learned, experience, and checklists. So just wanted to throw that out there. So before recommending, are you emotional? If so, stop, drop back, calm down, think about it. Do you have all the facts? Are you treating this person the same way you treat everybody else? Are you burning with emotion right now and assumptions? What are the unintended consequences of this? What is your real intent? Do you just want to slap this soldier on the wrist and get their attention? Well, maybe that's corrective training. Maybe that's, a bar to reenlistment. But maybe it's not in Article 15. Unintended consequences of Article 15s could be, let's say, separation from the service, inability to reenlist, bar to reenlistment, problems with getting promoted. I mean, these could be some showstoppers and career stoppers. They could even stop them from getting another MOS. So what is your intent? If your intent is to separate them, okay, if that's your intent. If your intent is to hurt them so they can't get promoted, okay, that's your intent. But if that's not your intent, step back and think about what you're doing. Do you have a personal bias against a soldier? Hey, everybody has someone that just gets under their skin sometimes. Personality conflict, there's all kinds of stuff. Behavior. Step back and ask yourself, is this driving my recommendation? If so, you might want to back up and look at that a little bit differently. Look at yourself. Do a self-check and make sure you're treating the soldier fairly. Again, is it really necessary? Was the act illegal, unethical, immoral, or unsafe? And I call these the 4 unforgivable sins of leadership. But this means that whatever the soldier did or the NCO did, they knew it was wrong before they did it. Or they should have reasonably have known it was wrong before they did it. And this is probably a serious offense that you're probably going to get hammered for. Hey, if you get a chance, stop by mentormilitary.com. As you know, we provide a lot of professional military development products, counselings, evaluations, writing, promotions, uniform training, leadership, all kind of stuff. Once you're there, click on top sellers. And there's a little 5% thing that'll pop up if you sign up for the newsletter. That'll give you upcoming products, some of my articles, stuff like that. So we'd really appreciate it if you stop by. So, was it an honest mistake? If it was an honest mistake, hey, maybe it's not an Article 15. Now, there are some honest mistakes that might be in Article 15. Let's say young, inexperienced driver, not paying attention, has a vehicle accident in a military vehicle that damages some property significantly. Honest mistake, lack of experience, lack of maturity, but maybe they still need an Article 15. Or maybe they just need retraining. You got to take the whole situation into account. Maybe it's just a flipple and they have to pay for the damage. Was the act a result of immaturity? Well, how can you correct that? Does it have to be in Article 15? Was the act a lack of training? If it was a lack of training, who's at fault? Think about that. Who's at fault if there's a lack of training, someone's driving and there's an accident? Or someone's not trained properly on a weapon system and there's an accident? What was the impact on the soldier? What they learned from it? Did it hurt them in any way? What was the impact on the unit? Did it cause a morale effect? Did it make the unit look bad? Was it prejudicial to the good order and discipline of the Army? Were there soldiers within the unit that it impacted that were hurt, that were distraught? Things like that. And I'm not trying to talk you out of an Article 15. I'm trying to talk you into thinking critically about an Article 15. Use it when it's appropriate to use it, but think through it, leaders. Your recommendations impact lives and families, and sometimes we're overzealous when we're recommending. Was there a direct impact on another soldier? We covered that. What do you really want to happen and why? What do you really want to happen and why? What is your motive? Is it to teach the soldier a lesson? Is it so the soldier remembers this? Is it because you're vindictive? What is it? Your decision to recommend. You got to base it on facts of the case, not emotion or hearsay, not assumptions. Counsel the soldier. Tell them what's going on, why you're planning on recommending them. Get their side of the story if they're willing to explain it. Explain why you're making a recommendation, what your recommendations might be if you go to, based on the facts that you have, and if you were standing in a hearing today, what would your recommendation be to the commander? Explain their rights to them. Explain how to properly prepare a hearing should your recommendation for an Article 15 be accepted. This is incredibly important. As a leader, you need to arm your soldier with the tools. Even if you're recommending, they've got a right to a fair fight. Show them the regulation. If you're not well versed in it, get them AR 27-10. Get them the MCM. Show them the article they're being charged with and all the elements they have to meet to be charged with that article, and how a hearing and what their rights are in accordance with 2710. Let the soldier be prepared and well armed. Again, in the link below for our ebook, I believe there's also a link down there for a critical thinking guide, so you might want to check that. The critical thinking guide is free. Hey, follow us on Facebook at Ask Top and Mentor Military. Check out our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, that you share. Give us a like, leave us a comment about this video or one you'd like to see in the future, and don't forget to visit us at mentormilitary.com. So, you're going to make a recommendation. What's your recommendation look like? Be able to articulate your reason to your superior or the commander. Why are you making this recommendation? Explain that you've thought about unintended consequences and you still agree with your recommendation in spite of the unintended consequences that could happen. Because if you didn't want those things to happen, you would turn around and find another course of action other than an Article 15. Now, let's do a history of Article 15. Back in the day, like in the 50s, the only way to handle someone being late for work, something like that, was an Article 15, or excuse me, was a court-martial. So they came up with F. Lee Bailey, in fact, a very famous lawyer, came up with UCMJ and the Article 15 process. And this was a way of disposing of materials or matters that kept a soldier's record free of blemish without a court-martial. Well, as that time evolved up through the 80s, then we started tracking Article 15s in records. So they were impacting careers, and that wasn't the intent. So then we turned around and we opened up a restricted fish. So if something happened to a soldier, but they were a good soldier, we could hide it in the restricted file and it wouldn't affect them for promotions and stuff. Well, now we look at the restricted file and it affects them for promotion. So they developed this other Article 15 called a summary Article 15 that stays at the unit level and doesn't impact the soldier's record. The bottom line is Article 15s were originally designed so they didn't have an impact on the soldier's career. It's not the case today unless it's a summary Article 15. And odds are, if you're NCO, you ain't getting a summary Article 15. Odds are, if you got a DUI or substance abuse, you definitely ain't getting a summary Article 15. So just a little bit of trivia there. Show that it cannot reasonably be resolved with corrective training or other similar type of activity. The only thing appropriate is an Article 15. You owe it to your soldiers to lead them without Article 15s if that is the case. But you also owe it to them to recommend Article 15s when appropriate. So sometimes it's difficult to recommend an Article 15. Maybe they're your buddy to some degree. You just became an E5 and you were specialists together. Maybe it's a hard-working troop, but they did something and it just hurts. But every time that I recommended an Article 15, it hurt. Even for those that deserved it. I mean, really deserved it. I felt bad because I did think about their families too, even though that soldier wasn't thinking about their family when they committed the act. Sometimes it's the only appropriate option, as we discussed. Don't feel guilty about recommending it. That's if you did your homework. You can still feel bad about it to some degree. I mean, nobody typically wants to hurt anybody, their career or their family. But do your homework. Look at the facts. Look at the whole... Please do not find a soldier guilty without knowing both sides of the story. Know and understand both sides before you make a decision. Do your homework. And if you didn't do your homework and you didn't find out the other side of the story and you made it based on emotion and assumptions, you deserve to feel guilty. Explain to the soldier it's not personal. It better not be personal. Again, don't forget to look at our career guide. So what are our comments? Make sure the soldier knows the time and place of the proceeding. Ensure the soldier has advance notice. Ensure the soldier has plenty of time to prepare their case. Ensure the soldier has the opportunity to see JAG if appropriate. I think during a summary Article 15 they don't get to see JAG. If corrective training is given, and this is in the AR 2710, if you give corrective training, usually an Article 15 is not appropriate. Think about that. It's in the regulation. Usually it's not appropriate if you already gave them corrective training. Hey, follow us on Facebook at AskTop and Mentor Military. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit a share for us. Give us a like. Leave us a comment about this video or a video you'd like to see in the future. And don't forget to visit us at mentormilitary.com. Until next time, stay safe and stay healthy.